Lord, and good evening. Again, we're featuring faith, family, and entertainment here on the community station that gives you more. Again, the time right now is 7:53, 7 minutes before the 8 o'clock hour. Again, good evening. Brother Chris Thomas with a wonderful community outreach going on, a nonprofit in the Harrisburg and surrounding areas that needs our help as the Harrisburg community. But before we talk about how we could potentially help, a nonprofit that is in need of help to go forward and to keep helping our youth and keeping them off the street and keeping them safe from all hurt, harm, and danger. I'd like to welcome to the studio a newfound brother. And I'll tell a story how we met here momentarily, but I'd like to welcome to the studio Michah Davenport. Brother Michah, welcome, my brother. How are you on this evening, man?
I'm doing well. I'm doing well. Thanks for having me.
Fantastic, bro. For those that may not know who you are, can you tell us just a little bit about your testimony, and then we'll talk about the nonprofit Driven from Within. So thank you, bro, as you tell us more.
So basically, my name, is Michah Davenport. They said I'm muted.
Oh, no, go ahead. I'm good
Oh,
on my side. Yep.
all right. Michah Davenport, born and raised here in Harrisburg. Just was able to get a little insight of life through the game of basketball. So in '98, won the state championship here in Harrisburg. Was able to go on to college and see more of the outside world. Played two JUCOs where I won the title the second year at Dundalk Community College.
Sure.
Just like coming back around Harrisburg, still thriving to, try to make some type of career out of basketball, and just was working and being around a lot of the youth in the community, and, they sitting there just saying, things that they're looking for, and this is where Driven from Within, came from. And it's just, we're making sure that all players are able to, play the game as well as, get life experiences out of it. So I always say, it's one thing to build the player, but it's another thing to build the person.
Yes, sir.
And the person is the one that's going to live throughout life. The player is going to stop after a while. It may be high school, it may be college, it may make it to the pro, but that person still has to grow. And that's one thing that we work on. It's not just about going out and making a basket, but we're having talks and communication with them that is helping them through life.
Excellent, man. For those that may have just joined us on social media, again, we're joined in the studio by a brother by the name of Michah Davenport. Again, the CEO and the founder of a nonprofit entitled Driven from Within. Again, like you said, it's not just about basketball, it's about building up our youth. And again, we had a wonderful event this past weekend. Big shout out to Reverend Roger Dixon Sr. and the Citizen Success Academy. That's where I met Brother Michah and another young gentleman that was very passionate about. I guess there was a death that was in the community, and we lost one of our youth. I didn't hear the exact story, but could you fill us in on that tragedy that happened in the past week or so here in the Harrisburg area?
No, it's just we have a lot of things going on in the city, and I always look at it as these are kids that we could actually reach if we was able to, open up the doors more.
Yes, sir.
To be able to, work with them, or just even be able just to talk to them and give them somewhere to go. I said, one thing is when we sit here and budgets are cut, the first thing that goes is education or
Yes,
some
sir.
dealing in the community. Well, at this time, what do the kids have to do? There's nothing for them to, it's more so just go home and hopefully something goes right for you there.
Yes, sir.
But, growing up, you always had the YMCA's, the boys clubs, that would be able to, bring you in after school and give you a program and things to go to. I'm not saying that they're not there, but it's not much.
Yes, sir.
And,
Yes.
and to reach the city, you have to make sure the doors are able to be open to make sure something's happening.
Now, there's many things that caught my attention, but one of the things that stood out to me in our brief conversation and our initial meeting at the event that we were both invited to this past weekend was the consistency of young people and the volume of youth that you guys cater to. and how much more youth you can cater to if you can only plug into and tap into some more resources that we know are available in the city. Now, on an average, just so our listeners, for those that don't know and not familiar with you or Driven from Within, uh, how many youth are you guys catering to on a daily or on a weekly basis, roughly?
Weekly basis, around 140, 150, 140, 150 youth.
Wow.
It could double. The picture that's in your background was taken last year, and we already has doubled since then.
Wow. Wow.
So yeah, but about 150.
Yes, sir.
Cases.
Yes, sir. Now, where are you guys meeting at currently here in the city, sir?
So we are the YMCA here on 6th Street, the Camp Curtin YMCA.
Yes, sir.
We're in there practicing, the Bethesda Mission on her street, 15 for her. We're there along with the Allison Hill Center on Walnut.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Now, if youth are interested or parents say, hey, I got a youth that got too much time on their hands and I'd like to get them active and engaged because I like what you're saying. It isn't just about the game, but it's about building them up and making them more professional, not professional, more mature children in the community. How would they go about to get their children involved and engaged and active with Driven from Within, sir?
Well, first thing, just reaching out and giving, showing interest. Tell us what you're looking for, age group, and we'll set everybody up according to, the age group.
Yes, sir. Now, I'm sure ministries and nonprofits are always in need of funding, but in addition to funding, before we get to that aspect, what else are you looking for? Are you looking for other places to potentially, house and groom children? Or are you looking for volunteers to help you in that mission as well?
Well, both is needed. Both is needed. If we could do, more gyms, that'd greatly help. But always would need volunteers to come out and help. It's work to be done. Like I said, it's 150 kids.
Yes, sir.
It's broken down into teams. So you say we're around 14 to 15 teams. Still have waiting lists. You still have, more players that want to play. We just don't have the room to house all of them. It's not just, creating a team, but having coaches for the team as well.
Yes, sir.
So,
yes,
it could definitely, so when we're, reaching out and, would like to help out, we be willing to, sit down and talk and see what we can do.
Sure. Now, what are some of the more notable things or achievements that Driven, because I know you just talked about, I think you just recently made a trip to DC. I may stand corrected on that.
Yes.
Or okay, you just recently made a trip to DC. But what other notable things that or achievements have Driven from Within accomplished in the past year or so, or a couple of years out here in the Harrisburg area?
Well, we're growing.
Yes, sir.
So we are taking players that may not have made another team or, are aspiring to be better, and we're putting them through heavy training.
Yes, sir.
And they're coming out on top.
Wow.
So, we stepped up to go down to the DC tournament.
Yes, sir.
With my ninth grade girls. Played very well within the tournament, very well. And, but it's eye-opening for them to show, this how y'all can be.
Yes,
y'all
sir.
can play here. Y'all are able to compete, and, now you just got to believe in yourself to make that happen. And that's what our whole thing is for the organization-wide. Believe in yourself, and you can make anything happen.
Yes, sir.
And I always tell them first thing first is, so no one's going to believe in you until you believe in yourself.
Yes,
so
sir.
you start moving like, I know I could play, I know I could do this, I know I could do that. Then you're going to start getting the eye of people that can help you maneuver to that.
Wow.
And just to, going to show my age, but the Driven from Within, it came from Last Dragon.
Okay.
So the end of Last Dragon, when he realized that the person he was searching for was inside of him.
Wow.
Is the same thing that we are pulling out of these kids
Yes,
on
sir.
a daily basis.
Wow.
There's nothing that you got to add besides the belief and confidence in yourself and in your game, and everything's going to work out.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Now, why, if you don't mind me asking, are you so passionate about young people, and then using the sport of basketball, kind of reel them in, so you can really help them mature and develop from the inside out?
Well, the thing that was myself growing up. So
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
you know, it was a time that I wasn't who I was. 10th, 11th grade year, I wasn't the person that I grew into around 12th grade and going on to college and pro. So I had a time that I had to learn how to just believe in me, work with me to like understand like my game and understand what I needed to do to be a better player. And like I said, it just took one game I went out. I said I'm just going to try to do everything that everybody said I can't do.
Yes, sir.
And that game right there turned the switch into me saying that I can do this, and it had me continue working to complete it,
Wow.
complete the mission. And again, that was me. I had mentors that was telling me like you could do this, you could do that, trying to push me to get that teammates like as mentors, coaches, and all. But it wasn't until I was ready to accept that it was able to happen for me.
Yes,
so
sir.
my thing is to just continue doing that with the youth around, and it'll be a better atmosphere around here first, and the second, like you building people, you
Yes,
building
sir.
the person,
Yes, sir.
and that's going to last a long time.
Wow, wow, wow. One thing that well, it's about a dozen things probably that stand out to me as we look at the trip to DC that you recently took. It isn't like you're doing it on big grant funding. Like you just got $10,000, $5,000, $1,500, to take the youth down there. Most of the time, you're digging right into your own personal pocket to make this happen. And my question is why? I mean, not to you, but to our city and to the powers that be, is why when this man is investing. His team is investing in our young people, 125 youth plus an average a week. You're talking about 400 or 500 children a month. Why does this man have to dig in his personal pocket? We're actually doing this podcast to see if someone could help plug Driven from Within and Brother Michah Davenport into some much needed community resource that we know are available or is available in the Harrisburg area. But you want to tell them I mean, what about uniforms and that type of stuff? Is that stuff that their parents provide, or again, are you going in your own personal resources to make it happen?
I'll start with the first part of the question
Yes,
that
sir.
you had. Again, we're dealing with city kids. I do not feel comfortable with making it a necessity over top of anything else that has to go in their life. The kids are with us 2 hours a day, or 2 hours every other day. So they still, required to live. And this is one thing, like, it wasn't like readily available for me to do it from my parents when I was growing up.
Yes, sir.
So, and I knew the struggles that my parents did make to sacrifice to make sure that I got to go do some of the things that I did as far as like with travel ball and all. So it would be wrong for me to turn back around and upcharge everything to the city, knowing that what this could possibly do inside the home.
Yes, sir.
So we're working. We still have a payment that is due, but it's not always the amount that it needs to be.
Yes,
but
sir.
I make sure that we still going to go and get out and get to these tournaments. And I want to make sure also that it ain't the money that's holding them back from doing anything. So we're still getting into the bigger tournaments, but we don't just to make sure that they still get the quality that they need to go on to the next level.
Yes, sir.
Play against the competition that they need to play against to get to college or to be seen by college scouts. And even so they can know what all I got to work on when we go back to practice and
Sure.
our training. So that's that part. And I think you said what, like for me, why is that was.
Yeah. Yes, sir. Uh-huh.
Okay. Yeah. It's just again just going back to where that would have not let me get seen as far as going to school if I wasn't able to go to these tournaments
Sure.
and play against the competition or the players that's actually getting recruited, so my talents will be able to be seen. So, why they basically just like giving back. It was given, it was told to me, I was helped out when it came to doing this. So it's like, making sure that everyone gets that same opportunity that wants it.
That's good. Now, as far as volunteers, before we conclude our interview tonight, what type of time investment, if someone is interested, hey, I got an hour or two, what type of time investment potentially would someone that is interested in volunteering look to invest?
Depending on what you're trying to do. It goes from like, it could be, hey, I know about this grade here. I can help you get to that. That's a lot of time there. Oh, I want to just come to the gym with you all and help out with snacks or things that route.
Yes,
or
sir.
That's time there. Coaches, we're heavily coaching each other.
Okay. Okay.
So I have coaches meetings. I talk to my coaches a lot, just to see what's going on, see what we may need to work on to the next level to raise up the team.
Yes, sir.
So that one is going to be a lot of time. Coaches are not easy.
Sure.
It's not. You may think it's just a game, but you're talking about practices, and then you're talking about the 12 different players that's on your team, other coaches and all. And I always say, like, you're always going to have to deal with that kid plus that kid's family.
Yes, sir.
So it can be the kid might be going through something that day, and now you become a mentor.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Outside of being that coach.
Wow.
Or the kids may need a ride to practice.
Yes,
they
sir.
need a ride to the tournament. They may not be able to make it. Two different things, and you have to be able to maneuver around all, but also still make that sure that that player is able to function in life.
Yes, sir.
Like I said, we only have them for a couple of hours.
Sure.
So when they're not with us, you still need to make sure they're okay. Get phone calls a lot from our players and the text messages and all. And sometimes it's not always in need of something, but just a communication and understanding of, okay, coach, I got this test. What should I do? How should I work on getting this done? Or I gotta I may have to stay home today, and I'm asking why. Is it something that you did, or is
Yes,
it something
sir.
out of your control? And when they find out something they did, okay, and when we get to practice, we're gonna handle that.
That's
so
good.
So you won't do that again. And that's that's how coaching is.
Yes, sir.
So
yes, sir.
it's going to take up a lot of time. I'm not saying it's going to
Sure.
be,
Yes, sir.
a
Yes,
short
sir.
amount
yes,
of time
sir.
for
yes,
coaching,
sir.
but
Yes, sir.
it's a couple other things that we are in to work with that I would need some help from the community to help push it further than to be able to be seen and heard.
Sure. Now, what is one of your greatest joys, man? Working with the youth that you have the pleasure to work with.
The best is just when they realize, that okay, I am this player, or they get the mindset of with the passion that they found just by being around. Again, every player has stepped foot out. Into some type of university, college, next level of education after leaving, driven from within.
Yes, sir.
So it's none that just did, and I like that right there, just to say like they're getting to school. If it's to play or if it's not to play, they're still going to school.
Yes, sir.
They're not
Yes, sir.
stopping, and that's what I like, and that's how again, you could be the ones that's built in the community leader, and you don't even know it, but you're pouring the same amount of time and everything into every kid to make sure that no stone is unturned.
Yes, sir. Yes,
You know.
sir. I once heard someone say people don't care how much you know till they know how much you care. And we're so appreciative. I'm appreciative. I got two girls. They're not into basketball yet, but I understand the importance of having the village. It takes a village, and here we have a senior member of the village that has set aside a portion of his life. You don't get paid for what you do necessarily, do you? Other than the reward of seeing the kids
That's it.
get
That's
get
all.
sure what you're communicating.
That's
Wow. Here we have a wonderful member of the village, our local village here in the Harrisburg area, that is pouring his life into our young people, and he needs our help. Now, as far as transportation and snacks, is that something that's covered or something that you could
Well, that's
always add to be more of a blessing when you have more? You can do more
that's
if you
what
have
we're
more.
looking for now. Transportation is one of the bigger um, issues when it comes to doing the tournaments.
Yes, sir.
So, you pile up in cars and take them to where they got to go. The ones that, like you said, you got some that needs a ride, and some don't.
Yes, sir.
But you have coaches that go out and rent cars just to make sure they
Wow,
have something
wow,
big enough
wow.
to go. So transportation is definitely one of the biggest things that we're looking to get in within the organization.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
The snacks and stuff is on the same level. So,
Okay.
Once
Okay.
you get there and you gotta eat.
Yes, sir. Yes,
And,
sir. Yes,
you
sir.
want to make sure that all your players are okay. And that's one of the big things that we also gotta, we take serious as well. 'Cause
Sure.
I don't believe, you can't do nothing if you need something on your
If you're
stomach.
hungry, sure, sure.
So,
sure.
we want to make sure that's big on, both of those are huge with us. And so, you're saying you go for a weekend, you gotta make sure everything is okay.
Wow, 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 wow.
As I said,
wow.
so there's many hats that you wear when you coach, and there's many hats.
Yes, sir. Yes,
So,
sir. Now I have two pictures here real quick I wanted to show. One is the picture that's actually my background here. Do you want to explain what we're seeing in this picture here, bro?
Okay, so we were at Love Day Hoops. They had a tournament down Alvernia in Reading, and you're actually seeing 4 different teams that won the championship down there. So each one of these teams in this picture, along with a team there at the bottom, but their full team is not there, won the championship there. That's why you'll see the trophies in the front.
Yes, sir.
But that's all the kids. That's all the kids that was around during that time frame to take the picture.
Wow.
There was more, and you saying it was some hard fought battles, and the girls there, they wind up beating a team that beat us 2 previous times within that tournament. So
Yes, sir.
I mean, throughout the summertime. So being able to win it and actually win a championship over there was big. The boys team we just put together down bottom, the 4th grade team. Well, at that time it was 3rd grade. Now they 4th grade now.
Sure.
They got to win their first championship during that tournament as well. So it was just a successful day for the organization.
Excellent. Now the next picture here. What's going on here, bro?
So this is our summer camp that we're putting together. Collab, with he's actually like sponsoring us. Damaj is, but we're going to be in Rutherford, and again, the hard work that we do on a daily basis is going to actually show up within this camp here. So this is for players that's looking to come out, 8 to 13 boys and girls, and we're going to be working on every aspect of basketball. My biggest thing is the footwork and the IQ.
Yes,
Yeah,
sir.
I can teach you everything about the game and all, but if you don't know when to use it,
Wow, 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 wow.
then So I gotta make sure I teach you how.
Yes,
I always
sir.
say there's no difference between teaching and coaching. You have a blackboard in teaching, you have a backboard in coaching.
Wow,
and
wow,
you
wow.
take it serious both ways.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. So again, before we conclude our interview, again, I think this is definitely a worthy cause. I'd rather have our youth and our community involved in basketball than to be involved with a gang, or to have them involved in your nonprofit than to have them out, robbing, killing, shooting, or stealing. So here's an opportunity for the whomsoever. We're sending out an SOS, a clarion call, in the Harrisburg and surrounding areas. If you know how to plug this gentleman and driven from within to the resources that they need to reach more youth. Again, that picture we showed, you said that's not even the total of youth
No.
that you presently have. That's an old picture from a year or so
Yes,
ago, I believe.
yes. So that actually doubled. It
Yes,
was one
sir.
other thing too.
Sure, please.
So within the organization, I actually put a book together.
Yes, sir.
It just came out about 2 weeks ago. So it's not just a basketball organization.
Yes,
So
sir.
within our organization, we also, that's why I said it's not everybody's not there. We also are looking or have, I say youth that are coming out that may not want to be on the court, but they want to be around the game. So,
Yes, sir.
as far as like taking the pictures, videotaping the games, getting post game interviews from the players, doing the writing portion, handling the social media and all. I have a book out that describes all aspects of that part of the game, because it's not just playing. It's more jobs outside of the players around every organization that it is within any sport. And that's what we are looking to actually, show our youth that, it's not just about playing the game.
Sure. Now,
Yeah,
we're.
it's-
Oh, I'm sorry, man.
Okay. No, it's not just about playing the game. There's so many other jobs that you can actually do that'll keep you around the sport.
Now, what's the name of the book and how?
Who Got Next is on Amazon.
Okay, okay.
Yes.
So that means we're going to have you back to just talk about the book, man.
Okay.
As time permits, and
Right,
Lord
right.
says the same. But it's always great to have resources like that, especially when you're working with and dealing with young people and our youth. So,
Yes, yes.
in closing, man, what is it that you want the Harrisburg and surrounding areas to know, and how concisely can those interested? I mean, one of my mantras in life is stay in your lane. And basketball, unfortunately, isn't my lane. Broadcasting is my lane. I told someone real quick sidebar. My mother has a community church. I've had it about a decade, almost 2 decades, and I was telling people as a matter to laugh is I hit my second basket when my mom moved in that church. So I probably got about two baskets my whole life. So you don't want me on the court.
Right,
I mean, I
right.
can be a good mentor and share some positive, experiences,
All that
and
helps as
share the
well.
word. Sure.
Right.
And we all have a lane. So in your own way, why don't you make a plea, in honesty and sincerity? Because my thoughts in bringing you here was I don't know where potentially this interview will lead to. But I know there's some people in our community that know where to plug you in, know where the plug is. So why don't you make that final plea, and we'll close up with your contact information, sir, please, and thank you.
Well, that biggest thing is just showing us the right direction to move, to actually get in touch with the person that has the grants. As I said, we're a 501c3 organization. Everything is in order, paperwork and all, just in case you're wondering. But everything as far as 501c3 is out there. We have the staff that's actually doing what they need to do. If you would like to volunteer, please reach out. We'll have a discussion and see what lane we can actually put you in. But the biggest thing, yes, everyone has a lane, and it's not, every job that's within the organization is not for everyone. But we'll figure, everything out at the time when we actually have a discussion. But again, the biggest thing is just figuring out what lanes to jump that we need to get into to actually get some grant money in.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Or someone that just got a money tree in the backyard and just want to help out
Right.
a noble cause. This is a noble cause.
Right.
I mean, I don't normally do too much of trying to raise money for organizations because you never know where that funding's necessarily going. But in meeting you, I mean, you're genuine, you're sincere. There was another gentleman. Any shots out you want to give? I forgot the gentleman's name that when I met you through him. But what was his name, real quick?
Well, his name is Travis.
Okay.
Travis Elliott.
Okay.
But the shout out to all my coaches. We got Coach Eddie. He up here at 6th Street
Yes, sir.
YMCA. He's working with our 7th grade girls as well as the 8th grade boys. We got Coach Charles Finley. He's working with the 4th grade, our 4th grade boys team. We have Coach J. Ron Edwards, Coach J. He's working with the 7th grade boys team. Him
Yes,
and
sir.
Coach Frank. Then myself, I'm working with a few of the teams there. My brother, Coach AC, He's working with our fourth grade boys team currently. Just everyone within the organization that's helping us out. You know, I got mentors, Coach Kaba Brunson. He's helping, just guide me through this.
Yes,
Coach
sir.
Coach
Yes, sir.
Destry Mangus, is one of the people that I lean on as well as Coach Smallwood.
Yes,
so
sir.
we, it's just people that community wise, Mark Hawthorne from over the Boys Club.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
DeJuan Green over at the Boys Club off of Hanover Street. Coach Duke Burnett. All of them. It's more of a community.
Yes, sir.
And at any given time, you're saying that these people could have turned the cold shoulder and went another way. But they still, even though they have a program, they running something else. Look, you can come over here. You can do this.
Yes,
That's
sir.
where the book club came in at. So we actually are, hosting a book club on Tuesdays and Thursdays over at the Allison Hill Center on Walnut Street.
Yes, sir.
We're there 7 to 8:30 on those days. Where it actually gets back started at the Memorial Day. And like I said, there's a couple other things that we are actually. It's in the works right now. It's not
Yes.
ready to be promoted yet, but it's in the works right now. But again, the other people that's working with us, even the YMCA up here on 6th Street.
Yes, sir.
They are showing a lot of love with us
That's
right
good.
now.
That's good.
So
That's good.
yeah.
The Bible says in closing, before we ask for your contact information, your gift will make room for you and bring you before great men. I don't know too many great men that are broke or begging. So I pray that this podcast and your work precedes you, actually move on the heart of individuals, either to point you in that direction or to reach in their reserve. And I'm not asking people to do something we haven't done. So that's a sidebar on that one. But, if you feel led to volunteer or to give or to brainstorm or collaborate or network, again, your contact information, Mike, in closing, bro.
It's so the email is drivenfromwithin19@gmail.com. That will be the best place to reach out.
Okay.
Yeah.
Fantastic. Now, do you have a website? I know you have a fan page on
We
Facebook.
are still working on the website.
Okay.
That's one of the things I was working on before I actually came and got here today. So,
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
it'll be up within the next couple of days.
Understood. But you do have a fan page that has a lot of pictures and videos of the youth and some of the things that you've done and accomplished.
Yes.
And that can be found.
Driven From Within on Facebook. It's DFW HBG on Instagram.
That's what's up. Again, for those that are just tuning in, or if you tuned in late, we beseech you to rewind, catch the repeat, the replay of this video. Find out a nonprofit, much unknown to some, nonprofit in our area that's doing big things in the inner city of Harrisburg. How we can help, how we can support, volunteer, or point them to some resources so they can continue making a greater impact in the Harrisburg and surrounding areas. Because I'm sure this model is something you can replicate in other cities and other states as well.
Yes, no, it's definitely being done in other cities and states
Sure.
as well. So yes, it's definitely something that could be, all over.
That's what's up. So again, my special guest has been Michah Davenport, again the CEO and the founder of Driven From Within, a nonprofit here in the city of Harrisburg. Again, in need of some support. We need some reinforcements, again, to keep this ministry going, this outreach going, and to see it continue to grow and be that which God has predestined and foreordained it to be. So thank you, Brother Michah. I know you got a busy schedule. I got some kids I got to get home to and a wife. So, man, God bless you, man. I appreciate your heart, your sincerity, man. You're sincere, you're genuine, and that's hard to come by in a world of lies, deceit, deception. So thank you, my brother. Heaven's best to you. And again, know you got a friend right around the corner from the Y over here at Fifth and Camp, again at the Wesley AME Church, again where the pastor is Reverend Dr. David T. Miller. Anything you want to share in closing, bro, before we roll out?
I just, want to thank you for having me here today and being able to reach out to some more possible, connections.
So again, Thank you, Harrisburg and surrounding areas. Brother Chris, Brother Micah signing on for tonight. Pray for us as we pray for you. And if you can help, feel free to drop them an email, hit them up by phone, or give us a call. We'll make sure you get a hold of him or he gets a hold of you. So God bless you. Enjoy the rest of your evening, and we look forward to seeing you again here at the Voice 17104. God bless and good night. Great job, bro. Great job.